Hello everybody and welcome back to part 4 of our EnderIO Spotlight in the Labs. I am Toasty and today we're going to be doing what I think will be the last part of our Spotlight. And if we can get past all of the world generation, I believe we're going to lose a lot of the frame rate stuttering. Alright, let's begin. Let's pick up where we left off, shall we? So we've looked at conduits, we've looked at energy generation and energy storage. We've looked at all of the conduits. We've looked at the machines. We've looked at some wireless charging, some really cool items like the staff of traveling and the magnet. We've not got a lot left. What we do have left, I believe, is all very new. One thing I neglected to go over, and I knew I was going to do this. I said like 15 times we'd look at it, but I completely forgot by the time we got around to when I wanted to do it. What I've not gone over is the vat. The vat is a really cool block that's used to create, it's kind of like the alloy smelter, but for water, or for fluids. So the vat is made by putting together some electrical steel, a machine chassis, a cauldron, and a basic capacitor. All things that we know how to make now. And then all you do is you basically pump liquids into it. Now, even though it is this sort of hexagonal shape, you can use the sides. Alright, it may not look like you can, but you could use the top, the bottom, and the sides. What you do is you give the vat power, and you give it to fluids. You can make hooch, as we've gone over a bit earlier, with some plants and some sugar. You can make rocket fuel with hooch, with gunpowder, and with redstone. You can make nutrient distillation with water, with organic droppings, I guess. And you can make fire water, which is the best fuel, I believe, for the combustion engine from hooch, blaze powder, and redstone. So that is what the vat is used for. It needs power to operate, and it needs a couple fluids and some items, and it's all very interesting. And it will essentially just mix your fluids together and your items and create this wonderful, these liquids. Excuse me. So that is the vat, and I'm just moving along here with the different things that we haven't gone over yet. One is the aptly named EnderIO. Now this is a block that I have to admit I never really understood the point of. I was never really certain when I started playing with the mod what it was. In fact, I didn't like this mod at first because the only thing I was looking at was the EnderIO block. I thought if this is all it is, well, I'm not going to get into it. Well, the EnderIO essentially lets you look at an area like a SCTV camera, right? So this is like a closed circuit camera. It lets you monitor and even interact with an area around you. That block in itself is kind of complicated, and I'm going to go over it as a little bonus at the end, like I did with a couple of the other blocks in Applied Energy 6.2 with the inscriber and Steve's factory setup. But just know that this is kind of a big deal. This is I don't know if this was like the original brainchild of the mod author, but this right here is what the purpose of naming EnderIO was. And it is a really cool block. But there is so much more to this mod. It almost feels like it doesn't quite fit in, but that is completely my opinion. It's just a really neat block. And we'll go over that in a little bit. But let's finish the rest of this stuff. Another block that we haven't looked at yet is the power monitor, and it does exactly what you think it does. Basically, you hook it up in series with some power conduits, and we can see sort of what sort of power we got running through this guy. I'm not sure what's going to happen here because I put it up against the generator and have power. It'll store some power. It'll work with a redstone signal, and you can use this to sort of throttle and control how much power you have around you. It's sort of like a BuildCraft gate, but for your power system. Basically, you pump power through it, and it'll give you a bunch of information. It'll give you all sorts of readings and things, and you can use this to create and listen to redstone signals based on the blocks around it and the power that's going through it. It can be very, very useful. I find with modded Minecraft being what it is, though, especially with the packs that I like to play on, because I like to play on things that are fairly overpowered. I don't use this that much because I don't have to worry about power generation. I just consistently make enough and make stuff to make power generation happen that I don't worry about this. But this can help you create such an efficient energy generation system. It's crazy. That is the power monitor. Now, the farming station is a block that was recently added as well and does exactly what you think it does. Basically, you give it some power, you give it some seeds, you give it a good surrounding, and it'll begin to do what it needs to do. It works with these capacitors as well. The capacitors, if you put the double or the octadic in, it'll increase the capacity of power that it holds. It'll also increase the range at which it farms. Basically, you give it a crop like a potato or something like that. That's not a potato. And some dirt for it to plant on. And you give it a hoe or a axe, depending on whether you're farming plants or farming trees. A hoe or an axe, excuse me, English. And it will eventually, it'll plant this little guy, and when he's ready to grow, it'll grow, and you can configure what side you want him to output on and all that good stuff. And so that's how he works. He needs the hoe, he needs the seed, or the plant, or whatever have you. He needs power, and he will farm away. Now, for some reason, this little guy is not wanting to farm the block right beside him. If I take out our capacitor, it'll shorten the area, and it may find the block faster. It may just be a matter of not being able to find the dirt. It's not as high priority to scan right beside him. You don't need to hoe it, actually. When it finds the dirt, it will plant it. I've used the farming station in this mod pack. It works really well, and we'll come back later, and we'll probably see the dirt here. One of the things I wanted to show you, though, is that when the dirt is hoed like this, and it is farmland, and you jump on it with the empowered EnderIO dark boots, no breaking the farmland. So that can be really, really handy. And that is the farming station. It does work with ender lilies from extra utilities, and it does see endstone as a farming block for them. That is a recent update. It's a couple updates ago he implemented that. And that I was very, very grateful for. Oh, look, it may be that actually we're seeing a bit of lag. I thought it was that it wouldn't break it, but you may. I would still be careful around your farm blocks. Sorry about that. So, we're going to move on to what I consider a fantastic block. I don't always like seeing cables. Sometimes I do builds where seeing cables running around my base is helpful, and sometimes I do builds where it's just ugly and annoying. And even though his textures and his models are fantastic, it can still be the case where I may not want to see his conduits. This is where we come to his facades and the painting block, the painting machine. The painting machine requires power, it requires a facade, and it requires a template block. So I've got a lot of sandstone around me. Let's just say I made my base out of sandstone. Where are you, sandstone? There it is. Let's make it day for us quick. What I do is I take my facade and I put it in here, and I only need one of my template block. I put the template block above the paintbrush here, and it will create a block that is painted with it. So you'll see conduit facade painted with sandstone, and it tells you that in the tooltip. Then what I can do is I can come over to an area where there is conduit and just right click, and it will throw my conduit or my cables inside that conduit. Isn't that that's just fantastic? I mean, it'll run right through it. It doesn't look bad. It looks great. It works with anything because you just paint them up. So it works with all these blocks real well. I don't know if it works with entities or with tile entities. I mean, like it may or may not. I've never tried it. I've always honestly been afraid of it crashing the server, but give it a whirl and see what happens. What's really, really great about this is you actually can still work with these inside the block. If you want to pick them up, you just use a pick and it'll break the facade and not the block on the inside. However, if you want to work with them, just switch to your wrench. Crescent hammers do this. The Gator wrench does it. When you're looking at your wrench, it actually hides all facades. See? So you can see what's going on. And then you can just scroll through and pick the one you want to use, and you're good to go. Now, I believe somebody helped him with this, but the mod author has done an amazing amount of work to get rid of the lag that used to exist. There used to be an insane amount of lag when it came to switching to look behind onto wrenches and things and see through the facade blocks. It used to like completely, you'd move your camera and it'd be like, it was bad. But lately it has just been so smooth, and it's so much better. So that is the painted blocks. Now you can do more with this. There are, you can take stairs. Forget what kind of stairs. And you can take, so let's take, for example, marble. I do not know if there are marble stairs from a mod already other than chisel. Yes, there are. So chisel allows you to make marble stairs. But let's say, for example, blue power doesn't actually let you make marble stairs. Let's take some marble brick stairs from blue power, or some marble brick, sorry, and throw it in as our template. And let's take some stone steps. What am I doing? Stairs. There we go. And let's just throw them in the painting block as well. It will actually paint our stairs to be the same texture. So let's see if we can find something that doesn't actually have a stair texture. I got lots of blocks in here. I should be able to find something or think of something. Well, I know there's no mine wood log stair. So let's throw that on there and see if it works. Look at that. We now have mine wood log stair textures. Or stairs, right? And we get, it bases it on the way the texture works for the actual log and the way stair textures work. So it can look a little derpy, but that's, you know, that's why they don't exist in the first place. So, but some of them are really helpful and they can look really good. Like, for example, let's look at some maze stone brick stairs. I don't know if this will work. Doesn't look like it. I can't imagine they would because they're not normal blocks. But living root, let's see. So you can try all sorts of stuff. Most of the things work. I can't believe how many I just clicked on that didn't. Solid ender stairs. Nope, nothing for some reason. I may have just broken it, but for the most part, it works very, very well. Now, there's a couple other things you can paint. You can also paint fences and gates. That can be really handy. And cobblestone walls. So these are all the different things you can paint. You can paint slabs as well, and double slabs and things, and glowstone, I believe, you can paint. But what I've never done this before because this is new, but what this allows you to do is essentially throw your glowstone in there and put a template of, say, gold blocks for some reason, and have a glowing brick. So you could make your house out of stone brick, paint some glowstone with it, and not have to worry about putting torches or lights up and ruining the pattern in your walls or something if that's the kind of build you like to have. Because you can just paint the glowstone. It's just amazing. Some of the stuff that this mod has, I can't imagine why they weren't in other things before. Maybe some of them were and I'm just oblivious, but I love this mod. Alright, just moving through the list, we can paint our carpet as well. And then we get to the dimensional transceiver. If you are familiar at all with tesseracts from thermal expansion, this is very similar. The dimensional transceiver can transport fluids, power, and items through dimensions and through this, whether it's interdimension or multi-dimensions, it'll transfer across them, and it works really well. The big downside, you just select what you're sending and receiving, items, power, or fluid, much like a new tesseract. The big downside to this is that this block just to operate requires a bit of power. It's not a lot, but when you think about the fact that other blocks like the ender chests for items or even the tesseract do not require power, that makes this a bit of a downside. However, it is not that expensive and not that annoying to make. I find the tesseracts really a pain in the butt to make. I know you can get them auto-crafted and once you get to a certain point, but I hate crafting the EnderIO stuff. So this may be a good alternative. It's just a vibrant alloy, an EnderEye, some obsidian, a diamond, and an octadic capacitor. So they're not horribly hard to make. They're not insanely cheap, but they are very useful. Now we have the powered lights and the lights themselves and the inverted kinds. I'm actually going to show you the inverted kinds so I don't have to put redstone down. But basically, let's go back to night here. I have a little light here that I just put on the ground, and I can put on facades and things and painted blocks and all sorts of good stuff, and it'll just give me some light. And it gives off a good amount of light. Come on, get off of there. Oh, I apparently have to pick that, I guess. Alright, so you got your little light over here that takes away a lot of the spawning area. And we can come over here and plop down our powered light and just see what happens with this. So this actually lights up a much larger area, and it serves, but it does drain a little bit of power. So all of these operate, and they are respectful of redstone signals. I put down the inverted one so I did not have to show you with a lever or anything like that. But basically what you do is you make the light, or the powered light. So for example, the powered light requires a basic capacitor, a bunch of silicon, some glowstone, and some glass. And the not powered light is a block of glowstone, some iron, and some glass. And if you want to make it inverted, you just craft the created product with a redstone torch. And all it does is it says, as a regular light, if I just put down a regular light, this is off because it has no redstone signal. And since this is an inverted light, this is on because it has no redstone signal as well. So that might be confusing. Basically, it flips its requirement to turn on from redstone. Really handy. I like inverted everything. Moving right along here, we've got our vacuum chest. Does exactly what you think it does. Basically, it has an internal capacity, or internal inventory, and if I throw stuff, it just sucks it up. And it's got a pretty good range to it. And a great little slingshot animation there, and you're good to go. That is the vacuum chest. It is not hard to make either. Pulsating crystal, chest, and some iron. Now, I'm going to skip on the enchanter for a minute because I will show that at the end. And the Killer Joe. Killer Joe is pretty awesome. One of the things about this mod is if you don't know how anything works, and I just had to figure this out a minute ago, is that it is very good at telling you. So you can put a block down and see pretty easy if it requires power. All this requires is actually nutrient distillation, which is that liquid here. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put it here. And see, I can fill it up with our nutrient distillation. Now I give our Killer Joe a sword. I wonder if he'll take the sword from... He will. Oh. And he'll start attacking anything in front of him. Ugh. Very, very cool. Now, you can set this to use XP or not. And I believe, I don't know if it's implemented yet. There will be a setting for it to collect the XP, but don't quote me on that. It might also already be in it. But that's something to look at as well. So Killer Joe is good for your mod farms. Dark steel pressure plates are pressure plates that only work for players. So pigs and sheep and things can walk over them. They're just too dark steel. You can put them outside your door, and creepers and things won't walk in and blow you up. They only work for players. Now, we've seen in a couple of recipes that there are different kinds of glass that is required for many of the different crafting recipes. We have fused quartz, we have quite clear glass, enlightened fused quartz, which is really the same thing as this, but it emits light, and enlightened clear glass. They're really, really quite easy to make. Fused quartz requires 4 nether quartz in the alloy smelter on alloy mode, and it'll cook into fused quartz. Quite clear glass is some sand on alloy mode. If it's just on furnace mode in the smelter, it'll obviously just make normal glass. And then the enlightened version is you just take the product and you fuse it with some glowstone, or put the glowstone in the originating recipe anyways. And that'll create a lit window for you. These are quite good because they are also blast resistant. So let's take ourselves this here, and let's make us a little wall. Nice connected texture. For the sake of time, let's get us a creative builder's wand. Boop, boop, boop. And I'm gonna draw this out real quick. And I won't do a cut or anything just because it'll only take a second. And we're gonna see how blast resistant this really is. Wow, I cannot aim my mouse clicking of building for anything today. And you can see in our series why I am not the one who excuse me, I am not the one who does the building. I am horrible at it. Let's just grab a little bit more here to finish this up. And let's put it in the ground as well. What am I doing? Let's put it on the ground. All right. Oof, not that. There we go. Easy. So now we have this glass everywhere, and if we turn off the lights, we can see our little basey area here, this little chamber we've made, is now emitting light. Awesome. So let's take some TNT and just see how blast resistant this really is. The only thing is, usually you can't put levers on glass, and that is still the case. Oh, I can put it there though. Great. All right. So it is not blast resistant to an explosion of TNT. Good to know. You may want to play around with that a little bit before you rely on it protecting your base. And I will double check and make sure that that is not a bug and put it in the description if it is and report it. But not as blast resistant as I expected. That was awesome. All right. Cruising right along. We've got conduit bundle, don't need to worry about that. The powered spawner. Now, with EnderIO installed, if you put down a spawner, now I am on peaceful mode, so I'm going to need to do this a little differently here. Let's get, I need a mob spawner that's not really annoying. Let's get some zombie spawners. Man, my inventory is a mess. Let me clean this up a little bit for you. Alright. Good enough. So let's get ourselves a zombie spawner. Not a giant zombie. I don't want to deal with that right now. Alright. Put you down. With EnderIO installed, one of the things you're going to find is if you go to dungeons and you decide to break a spawner, it doesn't just go away anymore. It actually turns into a broken spawner. And any pickaxe will do that. It doesn't have to be the EnderIO pick. When you get the powered spawner up and running, what you do is you come over. Let's run some... Did I delete? Of course I deleted my conduit. Nope, not that one. There we go. Come over here and let's just draw a line out. There we go. And we're going to give our spawner power. The thing is, this isn't actually going to do anything. So I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to come over to an anvil. You're going to need 20 levels, the spawner, and your broken spawner. Or sorry, 30 levels. It'll enchant it to be a powered zombie spawner. Now, you can upgrade it with capacitors once you put it down to increase the speed at which it creates zombies. There we go. And you can see that they'll spawn and disappear because I am in peaceful mode. But they do not spawn that quickly. So let's put an octadic capacitor in here and see what happens. See, every time it flashes, that bright thing of fire is when it would be spawning a zombie. And it's killing them right away because of peaceful mode, alright? Well, let's see how fast this really goes, shall we? I'm sure you guys want to see that. Look at that. A couple zombies at a time, and it just goes to town. This does use quite a bit of energy. Alright. It uses, yeah, quite a bit of energy. So you can see here, we're just cruising through the energy. And I don't really want to deal with that anymore, so I'm going to pick it up. So that is the zombie spawner. You can just pick up all sorts of broken zombie spawners. You can go and get blaze ones. Put them in there and create a blaze spawner in the overworld. No problem. What do we got next? So that was the powered spawner. As we move along, we got dark steel bars, which are items that you can put down. They're just blast resistant barring. Work much like iron fences, but I'm wary of the blast resistance after looking at the fused quartz. The fused quartz frame is actually a template or a block for the painter. It doesn't have any other use right now. It may later. And then we get into the conduits and different things that we've already looked at. That is pretty much everything. What we got here is the conduit probe, which will show us kind of what's going on, what kind of power is going through these pipes and different things by right-clicking on it. It's a piece of the recipe, I believe, for the power monitor. Yes, it is. And it's got a couple conduits in it, some redstone repeaters, or sorry, a redstone comparator, and some silicon, some glass, and the dark steel. I do not believe I've left anything out. I'm going to cover the EnderIO and a little bonus episode the same day this one comes out, I believe. Oh, sorry, the enchanter. I knew I forgot one block at least. The enchanter. EnderIO has a beautiful, beautiful enchanter. I mean, I think it is. Basically, it uses XP to combine books and things with enchanted to combine items created and enchanted books. So let's, for example, let's take a diamond sword. Or we can see here. What this does is you take a book and quill and an item, and it enchants it into a book. So by looking at the recipes in this, which is really helpful, because I had to look all this up the first time and I didn't write most of it down, so this is really good. But basically you take an item and a book and quill, which is really easy vanilla, right? You need some ink or some black dye, a book, and a feather. You stick it in here with a different item and you will get the enchanted book. Now I like this a lot because often I just don't like the vanilla enchanting system. I know it's changing, and it has changed a lot in 1.7.10, and I'm wondering if it's going to change at all for 1.8, because it's changed in the snapshots with the lapis and stuff like that. But it's just not a good system. I like that you can at least see what you're going to get now, but this is helpful. So you add some stuff together, and I believe it stacks. So you got Lure 1, you got Luck of the Sea, different enchants for different things. So let's try it. Let's take some... What do we want to add to something? Let's see what gunpowder does. Blast protection. Nah, that's not really fun. How about sharpness 1? That's a good one. So let's get ourselves a book and quill. Let's get sharpness. Or sorry, let's get some quartz. Let's get sharpness. Yeah, that's an item. And let's actually grab a couple book and quills for good measure to see how this works here, because we will combine it. So you're going to put this will cost me one iteration of sharpness will be enchantment 5, or will be 5 levels. If I add another quartz here, you see it's 8 levels. It's 2, 3, 4, 5. We can put sharpness 5 on this book with a mere 29 levels, a few pieces of quartz, then get ourselves our fancy dancy anvil. Oh, there's another block I forgot about. Put it in here with our sword, which I believe is that. Let's get us a diamond sword, for example. Move these around like a normal person. And we, just like that, have a sword with diamond sharpness 5 on it. Awesome. Really handy. Great way to enchant. No bookshelves required, nothing like that. Just a bunch of levels and some items. Awesome. And the last one I'm going to show you for today is the auto crafter. This functions exactly how you think it will. Basically, it requires a bit of power, some items, and an output. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, for example, we have a tree farm going with our farming block. It's farming us some dark wood plank or logs, and we're going to turn them into planks and turn them into, a chest. All you got to do is put the item you want in here. Put your template here. It won't actually take them, and it'll slowly, using power, craft ourselves our items. And then you can have it spit out using the EnderIO configuration, or you can pull it out with items. Either way is fine. You'll also find that after you, or if you want more energy in there, you can put your capacitor upgrade as well. And basically, you can put a big string of these along, and it'll make it a great auto crafting factory pretty easily. I like it. It's simple, it's useful, and it was a great addition to EnderIO. Well, that is everything for this spotlight. It was fairly long episodes, and I'm sorry for that. I am still trying to figure out what the best way to sort of plan these and put these together are. And if you have any suggestions for how you want these to change, or if you want to see another mod, put that in the comment, or put it in the comment below. If you got any questions about what we went over and want something more in depth, just let me know, and I'd be happy to do that. I will be going over the EnderIO block a little bit later, and I'll release that as a bonus video on the same day. But until then, I've been Tousty. You're watching Infinity Labs. Come check us out in our Let's Play series, and take it easy, guys. Have a great day. Deuces.